Middlekauff! Hey,
Thursday night after the Warriors championship.
holy cannoli!
Holy, the words of Klay Thompson. Sheesh.
I'm on cloud 109.
109. I mean, holy cannoli. He said holy. It's the first. I mean, he said holy cannoli.
That is something a little kid says when you don't want him to say holy shit. And I don't think he wanted to swear on ABC. I think he was trying to be a good guy. He is
He's
clearly a little goofy.
He's what is he? An Aquarius? What? No. Is that what it is?
Yes, he's an Aquarius, and he feels closer to God when he gets in the water.
Yep. How could you not?
I don't know. It'll wake you up. I mean, it's freezing fucking cold. Say that.
All right, we're live on YouTube Thursday night. You can hit that like button. We would appreciate that. Subscribe to the channel. We would appreciate that. And podcast down in the description below, as John likes to say.
Yep, down there. Go get it.
We've got if you're listening to this podcast, we have a mailbag. Give us 5 stars. We appreciate it. On a review on Apple Podcast. And in that review, maybe ask us a question. And that's how you get in the Haberman and Middlekauff mailbag.
Pretty easy. It's not very difficult. Slide up into those reviews. 5 stars. Ask a question. You want to talk some shit about LeBron? Feel free.
I saw a poll. Somebody posted a poll on Twitter. Who will end up with the better legacy, LeBron or Steph?
How can you possibly do that right now?
Once Steph gets his Finals MVP, which he just got, and he didn't just get it; he earned it, right? Like this wasn't they gave it to Steph because it was Steph's time. He was the best player in the series, and watching that game, I thought, as someone who wanted a Game 7, as you know, I think you wanted a Game 7, just because we love I didn't want the series to end, but it became pretty clear to me pretty early. I thought after that 12-2 run got erased and the Warriors went up 24-22, that the Celtics just didn't deserve 7 games out of the series. They were a formidable foe, John, but 6 games was right. 6 games was right.
Well, they can't dribble. I mean, they legitimately can't dribble. Now, they have a lot of talent. They have a lot of size. To me, their best player in the series by far was a guy with a torn MCL in Robert Williams, who was an absolute monster. Holy moly. Holy cannoli. But I'm with you. Tonight, the Warriors put on the afterburners. I think the last 2 games, Draymond's had a focus and a vibe to him that was like, this guy's not fucking around. There wasn't any shit talking. There wasn't any screwing around, really. There were a couple times when earlier in the series and definitely earlier in the playoffs, I thought he would have freaked. And, sometimes like Steph or Klay kind of come over to him, what Iguodala used to always do, and just try to kind of get his bearings. And he didn't need that because, like, I think he realized, like, we're winning this thing. And especially tonight, he was, I mean, like you said, Steph MVP. They kind of go as his kind of heartbeat goes. Because early on, like, it was like Steph was struggling to score. It just was a little herky-jerky. I mean, obviously, they got off to the quick start. But once they flipped the script, it was just like he was a man on the mission. And then Steph was like, fuck it, it's over. Steph's driving has gotten remarkably better over his career. Like, he is a threat. If Robert Williams isn't alive, like any other team without a shot blocking center, which luckily there aren't that many in the NBA. I mean, you and I have watched so many Steph Curry games, obviously just in the regular season. So it's probably most people listening if you live in Northern California. How good of a driver is the guy?
He's fantastic. Great finisher. He doesn't, like you said the last time we talked post game, doesn't really get as many calls as it feels like he should sometimes. I think the thing about Steph that's, I think, pretty remarkable, and I felt this way for a couple of years now, he got, I thought, noticeably bigger a couple of years ago. It was clear, like, this guy is we've talked about it. His stamina and his shape is exquisite. But at 34 years old, I think he's playing his best basketball right now. I believe. I don't know if you would argue with that, but Steph's prime has been really long. And I think one of the examples that, it's clear when you watch him, he's a hard worker. You just start the first way you try to identify it, you just look at the guy's body. You're like, well, clearly he puts a lot of effort in that body as much as he runs. But his mid-range float game is just crazy. His like one-legged free throw line, one-handed jumper, runner, whatever that is.
Hit one tonight.
Yeah, he's been hitting them for a few years now, several years now, and it's just an undefensible shot. And I think if you watch Steph like through the years, he just is always getting better to the point that at an age where basketball players are usually past their prime, maybe it helped that he came in the league after college and not like a one and done or a high school kid or whatever. But he's playing his best. I think this version of Steph would beat all the other versions of Steph in a game of one-on-one.
Do you know what I'm most proud might be the wrong word, but excited about? And just as someone who I consider myself, I'm a unique Warriors fan because I'm a Steph, Klay, Draymond guy. I say it all the time. Like if James Harden and Anthony Davis were their duos, like I wouldn't be a Warriors fan. I'm in on those guys. I root and I'm in and I'm all in because of them. There was a lot of talk, and rightfully so, because he's such a iconic and legendary athlete. Like he's an all-time iconic athlete. And the MVP thing, which, listen, stupid, but also like all the great players in the history of the league have won that award. And it'd be one thing if he'd only been to one championship, but this was now going to be whatever is the sixth championship the guy has been a part of. And now he's won 4. Like it was a big deal for him to get it. They all kind of knew it. And he had a fantastic series, but he had an iconic game. To me, that's, I think, a cool part of the series is like the game 4 happened. Like, that's just like, remember when Steph went for 43 on the road in Boston? Or was it 40,
and not up 2-0,
2-0,
but down 2-1.
Down 2-1 and just went nuclear. Like tonight, he went for 34 and he was awesome and he was kicking their ass. And it was clear by about probably midway third quarter. It's like, yeah, he's getting the award with ease. I mean, he'd been the best player in the series the whole time, but I'm glad that game, that win on the road, like, I just think it's one of his iconic games of the guy's career. And we already know he's had, arguably a top 10 career of all time. He's just in a league. And listen, I'm not trying, this is not throwing shade at guys. I understand. I mean, I've left jobs or moved around or whatever. In a league where a lot of guys move around and are always chasing the next best organization to tell their next GM exactly what to do and fire their next coach, I get it. He has Bob Myers and Steve Kerr, but he did show up to an organization that was a fucking joke. They were the Sacramento Kings before he got here. What the Sacramento Kings are now. Always drafting the lottery, and they sucked. And he's just been here the whole time. Now, they drafted 2, running mates pretty quickly early on in his career, and that helps. I'm not disputing that, like, his situation sucked and he just stuck it out. Like, it was good. But it's just like he's just going to go down as a guy that's just been on the team the whole time. Now, Kevin came and Kevin left. Like, to me, part of this is for him specifically, because it always goes, he's the best player on the first championship team. And not that it diminished it, but it's like he needed Kevin. No, Kevin needed them. And then they left, and clearly Kevin gets swept in the first round by the team that they just beat in 6. So, like, what tonight and really this series did is it just shut it all up. Not for Kevin. Like, Kevin still got a lot to answer to. Harden, Chris Paul, a lot of other guys got a lot to answer to moving forward. I think these guys, Draymond included, now he's going to keep talking, so he's going to get people riled up, but I don't think they ever have anything to answer to again the rest of their lives from a basketball perspective. Tonight ended it all. I agree.
This ended it. Yeah, this ended it. And I think there was always an argument to be made that they didn't have anything to answer for anyway at this point. Who would say no when Kevin Durant wants to come play with you? You take him and you try to win the championships that you can win. But I agree it's over. And I think that, there's going to be a conversation about whether they can do it again. And I think it's a legitimate conversation because I do think the league lacks just, this. Now the Celtics team will be back and the Bucks, but other than that, again, we don't need to break that down tonight. But I think they're probably thinking about 5 eventually. 4 is a pretty remarkable number. Like 4 championships.
Like Larry Bird won 3.
Did you see Larry Bird setting up the stage post game while Steph was getting interviewed by Lisa Salters?
Do they have a guy who looked just like him?
Didn't look at all like him. Was a heavyset black fellow, but he was wearing a Bird jersey, and he's just like part of the crew. It's like setting up the stage. He's right behind Steph. Yeah, I mean, 4 is a ridiculous number of championships. And to do it with the group intact, I think we were talking about it. Draymond's comments from Bob Myers. It's just that's the part I think is like these guys have been through so much together, and I think to see has Steph cried like that after a championship? No, I don't think
I
so.
don't think
Not that
even
I recall.
close. No.
My first thought, obviously, he was thinking about so much. My first thought when I saw that was Klay, like everything that Klay had been through for 2 years plus. And like Klay said, Klay didn't even start this year. Klay wasn't even back for this season. And I can't imagine when you've been to as many straight championships as Steph had.
It's easy to forget that, huh? I mean, he came back like mid-January, didn't he?
Yeah. Like he said, they were 18-2. They started. But these guys went from this, like Draymond said post-game, you pointed out, the Warriors Invitational, to looking like
love that
a shell of a team, right? Over the last couple years. It was pretty crazy 2 years ago how bad they were.
Worst record in the league.
It's wild. Like, did they just build this Chase Center and no one's going to come? Like, what a disaster. How are they going to get all these guys back? They're all old. Well, Steph's only getting older. Klay's going to be a shell. Draymond's only getting older. On and on and on. And
you know that Windhorst said to make up some of that money because they lost a shitload the last couple of years.
They're going to play Game 7 anyway?
Well, no, because also San Francisco obviously was one of the most locked down cities in America. I mean, they lost an astronomical amount of money given what they were, just going from what they were going to zero, and then they sucked. They sold 5% of their team and 5% of Chase Center to raise almost $500 million
to the investment bankers.
I don't know exactly he didn't say who they sold to. I mean, I don't know if you've read it over.
I haven't.
Remember the story.
I feel like maybe there was some.
He just said they raised $500 million to sell the equity because they wanted to keep. Basically, his point, he was
fire anybody.
Well, he was defending. He was trying to act like, because I listened to his podcast today, like he wasn't talking shit about Lacob. He was just trying to say, basically, like how, he was given. He acted like he was trying to give him credit, but his ultimate point was that like most teams, after 2 years of the money they were losing and as shitty as they were, would have sold off some pieces. Instead, they doubled down and sold equity in their 2 cash cows, the team and the building, to raise the $500 million to keep it rolling. And tonight, it's like, it's not only worth it, but it's like, it just builds the brand. We always say this, like the championship brand, one championship changes your whole thing forever, right? Like Andy Reid a couple years ago, winning that championship changes the Chiefs forever. The 4, the 4, like you said, it's just, it's like with the Yankees when we were kids, they just kept winning. It was like, gee, what am I watching? It's crazy.
When so many franchises have so little, that this franchise, who was always kind of,
they played next to, they played next to, well, and the reality is, like, in this area, there were a bunch of teams. There were 2 teams that printed cash, the Niners and the Giants. And then once Lacob got there, he had those visions. And he was next to the 2 teams that had no money. Now, maybe, obviously, the A's owner had whatever, but they're a poverty franchise. And the Raiders, who had NFL money, but they could never figure it out and were always losing money and never turning a profit, he immediately had visions of like, we're getting out of this neighborhood. We're going to another neighborhood, and I'm going to find a way to finance it. And even Lacob said his greatest accomplishment as an owner was getting that thing erected in San Francisco. And a lot of people were like, dude, what? No, he's right.
The crane ballet.
Yeah, the 5% Arctos bought a minority stake. That company actually I saw this the other day. They just invested in Elevate, which is that company that like Al Guido runs for the Niners with a few other partners. Like, I don't know if they do. I don't know if it's like stadium experience stuff, but Elevate Sports Ventures.
It's a smart investment. No wonder the Niners are always at the games. They got some deal going on.
Yeah.
You think they could fundle us some tickets for just a random like regular season game?
Who you want to go see? Cardinals on Thursday night?
No, I meant a regular season. Like, I'll just go see like the Mavs, a game that like Kyle doesn't want to go to.
Yeah,
I'm not even asking for like game 2 of the NBA Finals, just like a random night in January.
I thought you wanted state of the franchise tickets.
No, I don't think you're getting me to that thing.
Cody on the stream says, I enjoyed watching Iguodala be the team dad tonight. Iguodala specifically coaches GP2 hard.
Screamed at Wiggins the other night too.
Screamed at Wiggins the
at
other night.
Wiggins.
I mean, he's closer to a suit. I guess they don't coaches won't wear suits anymore, but
well, I told you this before we hopped on. If they will allow him to keep doing this, I listen, he would probably not want to coach, but clearly like he's kind of into it. If he's truly not faking this for the optics and really is into it, which I don't think you could question given how passionate he is about this team and Steph and Draymond. Assistant coach doesn't pay $1 million a year to do nothing and just to kind of you get to work out like 3 times a week and get some shots up, every game. You don't have to do anything besides influence some guys and take them out to dinner on the road. Like Ask Udonis Haslem, it's a pretty good gig. I do wonder if it's crazy he's back next year in the same role, doesn't have to do anything. He just like influences Moody and Kuminga.
Yeah. Andre, are those your clubs?
And that's the thing. You don't have to work coaches' hours. You can play golf in the mornings.
I think it's the move. Or somebody like Sean Livingston has, obviously he's not with them all the time, but Sean Livingston kind of has a role with the Warriors.
Yeah, but the difference is, though, he had to have a normal non-player role. Like, he ain't making the league minimum. Right. So if I was Livingston, I'd tell Iguodala, like, bro, they only pay $200,000 for this position. They pay 1.2 for your position, and you get to work out a little bit. Just do that. I got to show up sometimes like 8 a.m. when you're asleep. How many points did he have tonight?
For those of you listening to this podcast, I just put up a picture of Jason Tatum in his Tiger t-shirt, which
he had 13.
Yeah. He had 5 turnovers. Again, they're young, but they got a little ways to. Now they're in the they were just in game 6 of the finals. So you got to give them credit. Probably a credit to them that they got this far, even though they are a little flawed. And in fairness to them, they're banged up. There's a lot of teams I think they would have beat in the finals. I don't think there's another team that should have been in the finals beside Boston. But although the Bucks were up on them,
their second best player didn't play in the series.
Middleton.
The Celtics can't dribble, guy. It's the NBA. They can't.
Well, Tatum
dribble.
and Brown are not great. I do wonder. Does like
they
a
can't
long
dribble
career help you with that? You think? I wonder because it's not NBA level talent. You're dribbling around to get to the basket, but it's just. It is like a very high level drill.
Well, would Draymond be the best dribbler on their team?
I mean, he'd be a damn good dribbler. I was texting with one of the Michigan State assistants the other day because Draymond had remember that bounce pass he threw in game 5 to GP2 and on the fast break? And I was like, what a pass. He was like, Izzo would get headaches when Draymond would push the ball up the floor. It would drive Izzo crazy.
Well, how about the one play tonight on the fast break where he tried to go behind the back to Klay, and it was way too far around his back, and it fired way in front of Klay. Draymond had about 3 Jalen Ramsey DBs. My bad. He had another one where he was beelining to the basket. He threw it to Klay, and it probably went to the 14th row, way over Klay's head, and he immediately put his hand up like, my bad, guys. My bad.
Izzo was there tonight. John, I just got I'm sure you got it, the press release. The Warriors parade will be on Monday. That's a quick turnaround.
It's Thursday.
Oh, yeah, I guess you're right. 11:20 a.m. on Monday. It'll be on Market Street, Market at Main. It will end Market at 6th. It will be 1.04 miles in length and will conclude at approximately 2 p.m.
How fucked up are those guys going to get?
Going to get or be from now until will it be a sober Draymond pod? You asked me this question. Will Draymond do the pod before they go out tonight? And my first thought was no. If you're listening or watching this Friday, you already know the answer to this question, I guess. But I kind of think he's gonna.
I think he'll have a podcast out tomorrow for sure. Because he can go back to his hotel, shower, change, and he be 20, 30 minutes late. Everyone's going to kind of take their time getting there, even though it's already midnight. I mean, by the time, I bet he records tonight.
I think so.
I'd be shocked if he's
Pre-party?
done all these recordings and
Pre-club.
then he doesn't record tonight.
Yeah. I mean, would you record tonight? I think I would. People want to hear from me, is what you'd be thinking.
I just won the NBA championship. Like, this is, if people ain't going to listen now, like, if I was a content creator, I'd say, Draymond, in a couple weeks, it ain't going to be as hot, you know?
Yeah. It's going to be, he's just be like this. Mike screen sideways. We did it again.
To me, or the move is, I don't know what his equipment set up, somehow to get like one of the guys to come with you, like Klay or Draymond or Klay or Steph. I don't know how their hotel situation is. That'd be pretty cool.
Get a guess.
Yeah, like Steve Kerr, Bob Myers, something like that, just sitting with you, just for like with a beer for like 20 minutes.
Yeah. That would be cool. How about Steph, the hug that Steph and Bruce Frazier, Q, his like personal shooting coach, had? He had a big hug for him. He had 2 big hugs for his dad.
How about he told Andrew Wiggins, congratulations, man. That's what he said to him. So think about that. Like, right before we came on, their celebration on the stand that Larry Bird put up for him all to stand on. Their team, the celebration they get in each other, in a league where everyone is, again, I'm not trying to take shots at LeBrons of the world, but they're constantly leaving teams. Like, when you do that, it's impossible to have the relationships that you do with your people. And ultimately, as we know, Kevin and LeBron, who are all-time great players. I mean, LeBron's like the 2nd or 3rd best player ever. Kevin, probably a borderline top 10 guy. They don't give a fuck about anybody. And it shows, you know, and you watch these guys, it's like the love they have, the trio, the love they have for Bob. There was a moment, I think, when Steph or Klay were talking. Maybe it was Steph or Steve. And you could see Bob had his arm around Draymond, and Draymond had his arm around Bob. And it wasn't just like, it's like a decade plus of 2 guys being together, becoming friends. Bob inviting Draymond, remember, to the draft, and Draymond helped work them out. Like, this is a long-standing friendship. And you can't fake. Like, they kind of got a Patriot dynasty going on, except they have personality, right? Like, Bill never got like Steve or Bob. There was an element of the Patriots that there was like a brick, a wall that you couldn't penetrate through, even when they won. Maybe on championship night, the Warriors give you a lot more personality, right? They just do. Football's different, but
yeah. I also, Robert Kraft was there tonight. I also think, you know, one thing that's different. I actually agree with that comparison, so I'm not nitpicking that comparison. But you just made me think, like, one thing that's different is Brady's greatness came with the championships. It was never, well, Tom's great, but will he win the championships to justify the way we talk about him? With Steph, and part of it is just the nature of Steph, how he plays, his size. But the championships became like this, will he win enough championships to justify what some people say about how good he is? And there was this like friction in the Steph narrative that never existed in the Tom conversation. Not even narrative. I hate using the word narrative. But Tom, it was just win a championship, you're great. Win another championship, you're greater. Win another championship, you're greater. With Steph's, it was like, win a championship, did they need him? Win another championship, didn't need him, I don't think. Win another championship. I guess it was nice that he was there. Win this championship, oh yeah, that's right. He is that great. Now, I also think, like we talked about this the other day, when LeBron was like, what will they say about Steph now? Like, I checked. Steph has a top 3 selling jersey, 1, 2, or 3, the last 7 years in the NBA. So it's not exactly Steph against the world.
You didn't like LeBron and D-Wade like going off, huh?
No, I thought it was so stupid because what will they say now is just like, because a person says something, there's 7 billion people on this earth. It doesn't mean that's a thing that people say, right? Just because somebody, or Rob Parker or Stephen A or Max Kellerman or whoever, I'm just naming people. It doesn't, most people, if we gave every person that has an opinion on Steph a microphone, the vast majority of them would be pro Steph. Steph is great. I didn't need this finals MVP to justify how great Steph is.
Guy, if we did the Dave Letterman thing and just went to a random street in a city and just said, "What is Steph Curry unreal or not?" Wouldn't 99% of people be like, "Yeah, he's one of the best players I've ever seen."
Yeah, well, exactly. The they is Nick Wright, aka LeBron's jockstrap, says Chris V on the stream. But
How about
anyway,
this stat?
I'm Looney. Looney scored a scorer in Game 6.
No, he struggles to score, guy. That's not really his thing. 0 points. He had the putback dunk that I thought he was going to jam on everyone. It hit the back of the rim and flew about 80 feet the other way. But it was a sweet effort.
Worth a shot. 7 boards, 4 fouls.
22 minutes. He plays a lot.
I mean, to play I mean, nobody in the league played 104 games but him. Most games played in the league. But yeah, I'm just I don't know where the breakdown is. You know, like I could pull out the book of basketball and we could talk about Kareem and Wilt, and I didn't see those guys. I'm not going Bob Cousy was a plumber. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I didn't see those guys. So I don't know where exactly Steph would rank among them, but I know he's on tier 1. He is one of the greatest players of all time. However many players are on the top tier, whatever that is, it's not more than like that top tier can't be more than 15 guys or so, but he's on. He's got to be on. However many guys it has to be, Steph is on that list.
You know where the stretch starts? And it's somewhere between like 7 to 9. And it's like the Duncan Kobe kind of tier. You know, because I don't think most people have like Duncan or Kobe like top 5, but they have them like probably in the top 10. I think Steph's in that group. Now, I think one thing both those guys have is they have 5 championships. Now, Tim's last one, he wasn't the best player on his team, but like he had such like a Steph run. Kobe wasn't the best player on 3 of the championships, right, with Shaq, but I mean, Shaq averaged like 38 and 17 in the finals. Like, I mean, that individual Shaq is like a top 5 player of all time, like the stretch of Shaq that he played with. So it's not, but I think he's in that group. Now, you would say but his career, and this is like, remember the Stafford argument, like, is Stafford a Hall of Famer? It's like, guys, he's 34 and just got to a sweet team. He just won a championship. Like, he's got 4 or 5 years left. Like, let's just give it some time to breathe. Steph still got, I mean, at minimum, if he stays healthy, 3 or 4 really, really good years. So I would put him 3rd in that tier right now, wherever you rank those 2 guys, because I think they always, in my mind, they always go back-to-back somewhere. And I always put Tim over Kobe. Better teammate. But I get Laker fans get angry. I would have Steph behind those 2 guys, but I do think, like, what if he wins another title in the next couple of years?
Yeah. Is
that fair? Would you put him in that group with those 2 guys?
Is
like
that
their impact on basketball?
Yeah, I think they're in the top. They're in the VIPest room. Those guys are in it.
I think most people put Duncan and Kobe somewhere between like 6 and 10, you know, and kind of that.
Yeah, I mean, Simmons back in 2010 had Duncan 7 and Kobe 8.
Yeah, so I put Steph 9. Who's 9?
Jerry West 9. He's going to be pissed.
I'd put Steph over him. He might throw his award at him, but
Oscar, Hakeem, Shaq, Moses Malone 13, John Havlicek 14, Elgin Baylor 15. So I think
who do you have 6th?
Wilt.
Who do you have 5?
Larry. 4 Magic, 3 Kareem, 2 Russell, 1 Michael.
Well, you got to bump everyone back because you got to put LeBron now, right?
Yeah. But again,
so yeah,
I think just going through that list,
Steph's 10 right now. If
I
you
think
just put LeBron,
top 10,
if you put LeBron at 2, bumped everyone back, and he would be then Duncan would go to 8, Kobe would go to 9, Steph would go to 10, with a chance to get to, I think, 8.
Firm 10 on the stream says KD couldn't win a single game with these guys. LMFAO. Never compare him to Steph again.
Was it a little the Rodgers Brady thing? Like, Aaron is a great player, but there's clearly just something off. I mean, it's just not debatable, right? Whatever angle you want to take with him, like, there's just something missing that he doesn't have what Tom has. Like, there's just something, Kevin, who I'm not a Kevin hater, but Jesus, get off Twitter, bro. Why are you on
like
Twitter
him tweeting with Skip and Stephen A today?
I just think, like, oh my God, get a fucking life. I mean, it's 2022,
Why
guys.
can't he just mess with Steph and Stephen A and Skip?
I just feel like he doesn't have a life. Like, get a girlfriend or get a friend. I don't. What's he do all day, every day? Clearly nothing. I was on Instagram last night and I see like Easy Money Sniper hopped in and he just got in some chat. I think he is bored guy out of his mind. Out of his mind. I don't think he has anything to do. Besides, like, he probably works out in the morning and he's like, what is he? It's like he plays golf. So he could go for a hike. Like, what? He just sits on this thing all day long and loses his mind. In a weird way, I feel bad for him a little bit because like Klay's a good example of like single guy, right? No kids, no wife. I don't even feel like he's got a girlfriend right now, but he like has purpose. It doesn't feel like, he's on his boat. He's jumping in the water. He's with the dog. Like
he has hobbies.
Yeah, he has family. Like he goes on hikes. He just does shit. It doesn't feel like Kevin does a goddamn thing beside basketball, which he's excellent at.
Yeah, I think it's, I don't know. I don't want to psychoanalyze him too much, but I don't want to say tortured is way too strong of a word, I think. But he's searching. I think he's searching for something. And I think he felt like winning the championship with the Warriors would just chill everybody out. But I think people want what the masses want to see. And this is hard because like Kevin works really hard clearly at the game. And so it must be frustrating to feel like you get defined by like everyone on the outside. But doing it the way the Warriors did it with their guys from the beginning, this is our squad. We're just going to find a way. As we get older, we're going to find a way. I think the irony of Russell and Kevin's careers is if they had stayed together and found that's what people want. In fact, if they had stayed together and never won a championship together, but just kept banging on the door, just they got beat by LeBron, they probably would have won the bubble title, maybe. I don't know. Although the Lakers were good in the bubble title. Not that it counts. But maybe they never
torn Achilles then? Did Kevin have a torn Achilles in the bubble?
I don't remember. But I'm just saying, if they, in OKC, let's say Russell and Kevin had never won it, but they stayed together there and just kept banging on the door.
Stockton and Malone just kept swinging.
I think it would be a totally different story for how they're talked about. I think they'd get a lot of respect.
You think people would like him more?
Without question, people would like him more. Beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Well, here's the problem, guy. He left. Everyone hates him. He doubled down. Now everyone feels like kind of makes more fun of him now than his situation. Do you know?
Yeah, especially after these guys win.
Do you know he's 33 years old? Like, clock's kind of ticking.
Yeah.
That's kind of.
How's he going to win one?
Well, I don't think he's going to. I actually kind of hope they get good. Maybe they add someone. I would love to see Warriors Nets next year. That'd be fun. And then the Warriors beat him. That would suck for him if the Warriors beat him. That'd be really hard for him. He'd need to win that title.
There'd be a lot of pressure on him going in.
It would be win or bust for him. Warriors would just kind of be playing with house money. Like how big of legends can we be?
Like in the end, really, as close as, the way the Celtics took game 1 from the Warriors, what they did in game 3 to the Warriors, as close as it felt at times, in the end, this finals really wasn't that close. And I think it's just so hard to replicate what the Warriors have. As long as Steph is at or near his peak, the way they play together, the experience they've had in these games, think of all the big shots Steph has hit, Klay has hit, all the big plays Draymond has made. Now think of all the big plays Wiggins has made. It's just, I thought early on, like Boston, again, they're going to get all these guys are 10 years behind the Warriors in terms of development. But you could just tell they just don't have the thing at the end of games that the Warriors have. And it's as long as Steph is playing this way, nobody else has what these guys have. There's not another team in the league that has what these guys have. Now, Anthony Davis is going to be very well rested coming into next year. We know that. But like LeBron's still a phenomenal player, right? LeBron's not as close to his own personal peak as Steph is to his peak. Steph's at his peak right now. right?
Yeah, LeBron's almost 40.
away.
Like he's headed down. It's over. Like the Lakers, they're done. Like it's bye. The Lakers will see ya. Like you don't get taken seriously. Honestly, the West kind of sucks. You know, the Suns are getting rid of DeAndre Ayton. They're trading him. Luka's got no teammates. I mean, the West sucks, guys.
Portland's
the
desperate,
NBA,
right? Portland can't find
honestly,
a way.
here's my take. The NBA kind of sucks. You know why? Because all these guys leave to different teams. No one stays. No one knows each other. It's a mercenary league. The Warriors just stick together and they separate. They just keep winning chips. Chip after chip after chip after chip. Number 4.
What's best for players is not best for fans.
And the league.
Well, yeah, when I say fans, I mean the league. What's best for fans is easy to digest storylines. I like this guy. I like this team. I hate that team. It's us against them. That's it.
Can you imagine if Kevin had stayed in OKC?
Honestly,
Kevin and Russell had stayed and they had played the Warriors 4 times in the playoffs in like 5 years.
You know, honestly, all this talk about Steph that Steph has had to fight against has been great for the league because it's created this because Steph's not a villain, but there's this rub with him where it's like, can he, can't he? What is he? Is he? And it's been phenomenal for the NBA that there's a debate about Steph. NBA is very lucky that there's a debate about Steph Curry. They have been very lucky.
Do you think he'd ruffle some feathers if he retired and went to live?
You think he'd finish ahead of Phil?
He might. To me, that'd be the way to like really amp up the hate toward him. That'd be the only way. Now I mean, they shimmy and they shake, and if I didn't root for the Warriors, they'd piss me off every once in a while as well. But I would respect their ability to just consistently win. And tonight, I mean, Draymond's a great example where everyone's shitting on him. He's taking all the arrows. And even after the game, when he got the mic, he's like, I love this crowd. Like, you know what? He kind of yearned for this crap. And since I'll give him respect because you and I talked about this. Maybe we talked about this when we podcasted last weekend after Steph had the legendary game. Like, I didn't love. Not only did I didn't love, I thought it was just like, he sounded like such pussies about the crowd chanting. And I love that Draymond's like, didn't bother me at all. I actually kind of liked it. And then tonight was like, I love this crowd. You know why? He likes being in the fight. He likes being in the fire. He like yearns for it. He's really wired like an old school NBA guy / football player. A lot of guys would have made a big deal, would have wanted everyone kicked out. He came back tonight and played his best game. It felt like in like 3 months.
Yeah.
Lives for it. How many guys in the NBA truly live for it? I mean, truly. And obviously, Draymond is unique because 4-year college guy, obviously one of the best college coaches ever coached him. You know, he was played with Steph and Klay. I mean, he's a very unique just package, right? In this league, there aren't many guys that like 4-year players on a great team for a long period of time who are a consistent guy on that team. Most guys like one and done or like skipping college or going to the G League where they pay you. It's like, I just feel, in a weird way, most of those guys don't care as much. It feels like the Warriors guys care more. And all of them went to college for a combined Draymond 4, Steph 3, Klay 2, or Klay 3.
No, I think he was 3.
Steph was 3. I mean, they went to college combined as a group for a long time.
Maybe Klay was. Yeah, Klay was 3.
Steph was 3, right?
Steph was 3 because remember he came. There was like a talk about him coming back
after sophomore year. For senior season.
I think most like competition brings out the best in the best. It doesn't bring out the best in everybody. It brings out the best in the best. It brings out the best of Draymond. Draymond creates competition when there's not competition. I was talking to a buddy of mine the other day who works in baseball, and he was like, one thing people don't realize about the minor leagues now is that teams don't really even play games. Like, they play the game, but nobody's trying to win in minor league baseball anymore. It used to be you'd go to the park, and there were 2 teams, and whatever, those 2 teams tried to win. Even though it's minor league baseball, so none of it really means anything necessarily. But he said the way it's gotten the last few years is everything's about big league development. So whoever's pitching tonight is throwing 60 pitches, whether he gives up 8 runs in the first inning, he's got a no-hitter going, he's coming out after 60. And then Middlekauff's coming in. He's throwing 25 pitches. And it doesn't matter if he gives up back-to-back home runs or has the chance at the strikeout record. He's coming out after 20 pitches. Like, all these games are predetermined.
You're saying like the spreadsheet determines it for the manager. The manager just sits there, tells Haberman, you're in now. Middlekauff, you're pitch hitting. It's just all set up before.
It's set up. This is how we're playing this game tonight.
It's a simulation with humans.
Yeah, it's like it's just somebody has said we need to see Middlekauff throw 60. We need to see Haberman throw 20. In 4 days, Middlekauff will throw 20 and Haberman will throw 60. That's how we're developed. That's the plan for these guys' season.
And you don't think minor league baseball was like that 15, 20 years ago?
Not a chance in hell. I mean, there were sometimes there was some of that, but it was just teams playing. They were managers just trying to win that game that day, even though in the big scheme of things, it didn't matter who won this minor league baseball game. But my buddy was telling me, he's like, it became clear to me a few years ago. He was in minor league baseball at the time. He's like, this sucks. Like, no one is even trying to win the game. We're all here watching. Like, it's crazy. And I mean, that you definitely do not develop player competitiveness doing that.
No.
And I think baseball and basketball have become very difficult at like below the top tier teams to be interesting. Because and I would run a baseball team the way they're running teams. It's smart. It's smart not to spend $225 million, $250 on Steven Strasburg, who's made 9 starts. The other day he made his 9th start since he signed his contract extension after 2019. So 2020, 2021, 2022, he's made 9 starts, and he just went back on the injured list. So it's smart not to spend $250 million on starting pitchers. But having, a bunch of specialists and platoon guys is not what brings fans out to the ballpark and gets them to tune in.
Isn't that a separating factor for football, where I get to evaluate for 3 years in college football? Like, I was thinking when you were talking,
1,000,000%.
Kayvon Thibodeau, he gets injured. He's already a top 10 pick, comes back. Like, one part I know that a lot of people did respect about him is that he did not need to come back. And then he played all the way through the season up until the championship game. They got their ass kicked. Like, in basketball, the equivalent of Kayvon Thibodeau would be a true freshman, right? A future top 10 pick. He ain't coming back. I remember when Zion came back after his shoe blew. Everyone's like, what is he doing? Zion, you fucking crazy asshole.
He didn't come back for another year. He just came back for the tournament.
He just came. Well, he came, for like the last 7 games of the season, like the ACC tournament. And everyone's like, this guy is insane. Leave, go. And he's like, no, man, I just want to play with my buddies. And everyone shamed him, remember? Not me and you, because we were like, yeah, I kind of respect it. I don't know. He wants to play basketball. And it's just, you just see, not that Jaylen Brown and Tatum are, I don't think they're competitive, but they do just have they don't even have the fundamentals of the game. Well, why? They played 1 season both in college because they were both uber recruits. I remember when Cal got him, I'd never even heard of the guy. I don't follow college basketball recruiting, but it was like, they got Kwanzaa. He got this guy that they never would ever sniff. And I remember watching him. It was a big deal. I remember talking about him, and Danny Ainge ends up drafting him 3rd overall. And he's obviously a fantastic talent who cannot dribble. Can you imagine Izzo after year 2 with that guy? You don't think they're just doing some dribbling drills in Michigan State?
That's what I'm saying. I think college is part of that. Tatum can't really create with
No, he can't dribble.
Were you talking about Tatum or Brown? Both of them.
I'm talking about both. I was talking specifically about Brown, but Tatum too. Tatum was a one and done at Duke.
Yeah.
Horford's probably a better dribbler than both. He was at college several years, right? College, there's something to be said about having some fundamentals of whatever you're doing. A lot of times people DM me starting a podcast. When you guys record, do you put out your topics? Do you guys talk about them, or you just hit the record button and go? I'm like, no, we're not we're not just freestyling here, there's some, but a lot of people just don't,
even though we could.
But my point is, a lot of people go into podcasting, for example, they have never done this. They have no clue what they're doing. Now, in fairness, if you just did it for a while,
not that complicated.
No, you would figure out a rhythm, but there is an element of you got to build a base of whatever you're doing. And a lot of people in the NBA, in my opinion, have no base of the fundamentals in basketball. It's why I say it all the time. Bill Simmons is adamant there's never been more talent in the NBA. And maybe from just an athletic perspective, if we just tested jumping, running, dunking, and this is what Bill Belichick says, we don't pay guys to do the combine. We pay guys to play football. Like, you pay guys to play basketball, pass, cut, right? Run plays, screen in certain situations, go fast in certain situations, go slow. I feel like a lot of the NBA doesn't have a great feel. It's why my pushback, like, the 90s guys couldn't hang. Bullshit. Those teams played together for a decade. They all had the fundamental. You don't like the Utah Jazz in their peak, the team that lost the Bulls multiple times. They would fucking destroy the Celtics. I think they would house them because they just know how to play basketball. It's honestly remarkable how good the Celtics are without understanding how to do some basic things like dribble. I mean, guy, they can't dribble the basketball. That's pretty nuts. And it shows they got to the NBA Finals.
I also think the Warriors made them look bad. I mean, I agree with I do think Tatum and I do wonder if it's a product of not playing much college basketball, but I also think the Warriors made them look pretty bad.
But
Warriors
why?
defense.
But the Warriors they can do a lot. Obviously, I'm
just saying the Warriors create a lot of pressure and a lot of urgency because of how much they score. I just think they took the Celtics. I think they knocked the Celtics off their equilibrium or whatever.
But don't you think they just do a lot of fundamental? Now the Warriors,
yeah, well, 1,000%. I mean, the first practice Steve Kerr had with that group, he had them chest passing and bounce passing. Remember?
When Andre Iguodala thought he was like, "I might."
What is this? Yeah. So I'm everything you said, I agree with it. It's baffling, but I also think it's partly the Warriors made them look that way. I think that's part of it. Now, I also, like I said before the final started, that team, the Heat took them to 7 games. That's why I was never scared of Boston, because I knew Miami was not a championship team. And it's why I think this thing in the end was not that close. And it's why I think the Warriors can win it again next year. But that's another discussion.
I listen to a lot of basketball. I listen to more basketball podcasts than I do watch basketball. So I don't watch that much Celtics. And I had heard a lot of people over the years talk about their inability to like dribble. And
Priscilla was talking about it the other day too.
But yeah, people have been talking about it forever. And I not dismissed, but I thought it's one of those things that you kind of overhype. It's pretty glaring when you watch them play.
Yeah, then them ending up on this stage.
I mean, how often were guys on the ground?
They turn the ball over a ton.
That to me, the East, I understand. Like, it's understandable why LeBron loved the East. He feasted.
What was he crazy? He was insane to come out to the Lakers.
I know. What was he doing? You think in a if you could rewind it all, do you think he keeps Wiggins and doesn't trade Kevin Love? Kevin Love.
I mean, he didn't win the champion. Did he win the championship with Kevin?
Yeah, he did. But I'm just saying, like, imagine
if they had just stayed together this whole time, it would have been
and maybe Kyrie or use Kyrie to flip to get someone else, but just the Wiggins type with LeBron and just a couple other wings.
Yeah.
I wonder if he could have a redo on that.
Remember Wiggins was like remember he had to be on the team. It wasn't like a draft night trade, right? He was on the team for like.
Remember they had to wait like logistically, like 60 days.
I think it was 60. 60 was the number I had in my head too. Yeah. The Wiggins story. What's Wiggins going to do?
Because he's under contract next year.
Well, I know, but if he just continues to play the way he's played, there's going to be a massive contract out there for him. And I don't know what the most amount of money the Warriors, like, what will they be willing to pay him? But
gonna get dicey, guy. You sell another 5%?
Yeah, man. I don't know. It'll be really. Well, I would keep him too. I'm just saying, like, what is Wiggins gonna take less money to stay with the Warriors? And now less money might mean 30. I mean, it might mean $36 million a year.
I'd get rid of Jordan Poole before I got rid of Wiggins. I like Jordan Poole a lot, but I'd keep old Wiggins. Those players are more valuable in the NBA.
Well,
I think score first little guards.
Yeah, I mean, next year will be really interesting for him, right? Like, is this just who he is now? Every night?
I can see the Warriors starting a little slow next year.
Because the thing with Wiggins is, at any given moment, he's, with most lineups on the floor, he's the most athletic guy on the court. And like we talked about last time, that mid-range jumper. Tobin on the stream says, talk about this Windhorst BS. Did we talk about that on this? Well, I guess we didn't. We must have talked about it just between us beforehand.
No, I think we BS'd about it a little bit earlier.
On today?
Yeah,
On
I thought
this?
so. Didn't we?
Well, yeah, we might have talked about it beforehand. Maybe not. I don't know. Didn't bother me, but you said you listened to his podcast. Maybe we did talk about it.
Yeah, we talked about it because I said he kind of apologized. He did
On
not
this show.
apologize. He said he was trying to give them credit. Yeah, because I talked about the 5%. Didn't you look that up on this thing?
Oh, yeah. That we started the show with that. I couldn't remember if this was pre-podcast talk or you're right. I think that was on the podcast. Ryan asked, does Curry win another ring? I think he might. Like, that's part of the theme of this 50 minutes that we've talked so far. Is that how, like, look at him. He's as good as he's ever been. He's closer to his prime than he is to retiring. He's in his prime. So, I mean, Memphis, Ja. They were a formidable opponent this year. Dallas, okay, yeah. Utah's blowing up. I don't know,
It's
where
over,
does
bro.
Where does Rudy go? But this is the best possible thing for the NBA. There was no. Did you say this earlier? If you did, then I'm copying you. I mean, they are the Yankees of the NBA, right? They are the Cowboys of the NBA.
Right now, for sure.
You just
the Lakers are
Nope.
dead, and the Celtics aren't good enough. Because those are the brands, right?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's like the Warriors never in their life could they have imagined being the Yankees or the Cowboys or the Lakers or the Celtics.
Yeah.
But here we are. Like if you said Klay post game, looks like he shaved his. I mean, he's got like a hat on top of his headband.
Legend.
But if you said right now, like NBA, who's the most valuable brand to you? It's without a question, it's the Warriors.
Incredible.
So, all right. If you're listening to this podcast, we're going to get on to another discussion. Before we do that, let's tell the people about our friends at buckmason.com/ham. buckmason.com/ham and the number 1. This, John, right here, this is a Buck Mason tee. I don't know if you can see the.
I got one on two.
This is the Pima tee. I love the Pima tee. buckmason.com/ham1 gets you 15% off an order of $100 or more. So go do that right now. And I recommend a lot of t-shirts. We do recommend you size up if you like I wouldn't even call it a relaxed fit, but if you like a snug fit, get your normal size, a trim fit, an athletic fit, whatever you want to call it. Get your normal size. If you like a little more space, but it's not going to be baggy or sloppy at all, size up. So if you're usually a large, get an XL. If you're usually a medium, get a large, that kind of thing. And it's not going to be too long on you. You'll love it. buckmason.com/ham1.
Yeah, the curved hem tee is fantastic. GQ loves it, guy, calling it the best t-shirt in the game. You and I both have so much Buck Mason clothes. It's incredible.
I got more coming
Shirts,
too.
V-necks.
I bought more with my money.
Smart. I'm gonna go make an order too. So whoever you're celebrating this Father's Day with, give them something timeless to hold on to for life. Give them the quality. How about the quality?
John,
For a limited time, get 15% off on great gifts for dads or for yourself. Like Guy said, just got himself gifts. I'm gonna order myself some. When you spend at least $100 at buckmason.com/ham1. Ham and the number 1. That's Buckmason, BUCKMASON.com/ham1 for 15% off on great gifts for dads. When you spend at least $100.
A lot of great stuff out there. The brushed loopback hoodie, I wear a ton of. The slub t-shirt, a lot of people love it. I'm telling you, my number 1 pick is the Pima tee. It's soft, it's smooth, it's comfortable enough to chill in. You could also wear it out. It looks clean. This shirt's been through so many washes. Look at this neckline. Look at this. That is a clean neckline. Looks good. And, you don't need the V-neck. I mean, you can go with the V-neck as well. But, yeah, great color. This black has stayed black. So highly recommend buckmason.com/ham1.
Do it.
All right, y'all. Thanks for hanging with us tonight on the stream. Always fun. We'll talk to everybody soon. We'll have a mailbag coming up this weekend, probably. And, parade will be Monday. So we'll see you on the float. See you on the double-decker. See you on the trolley. We'll look for us on the trolley.
What are the chances you go?
We've been before.
The first one. Yeah.
We went, and
I'm 0.0.
yeah, I'm wouldn't say I'm a deep in my veins a big parade guy, But I like watching on TV. You can hear what they're saying, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Looking forward to Draymond's speech as
I'll
always.
watch. Yeah.
Remember Draymond's interview with Roz? Was that the first
oh my
one?
God. Yeah. Nope. Yep. He was destroyed. They got a little weird with Kevin. Remember, like Fitz and Kevin had a moment with Bob. It got weird.
Yes, I do remember. I don't remember
That
exactly
one
what it
felt like
was.
the beginning of the end. Yeah, it got weird.
All right, y'all. Thanks for hanging.
Later.